that the reason so many individuals are gathered out here is because there's no room for them to be gathered inside. Looking up at the massive rows of lengthy benches and wooden stylized chairs are people of most factions in the Dragon Empire. Some more blatantly depicting themselves than others. And a larger room having to be made for larger sized creatures, whether it be one of the Naga, or a Lamasu, or centaurs, or dragons who are perched up at the top, looking down into the amphitheater. No golds or silvers, or reds or blues for that matter, but there are a number of greens here. Green being the most dominant color. Dragons. Thousands. Again, representing the most common humanoid races. So many people gathered together. It's not even like one united mass of sound. It's an entire cacophony. Discordant voices just arguing with each other and discussing and haranguing. Some of them do look thoroughly exhausted, as if they've spent days here, if not over a week or two or however long, having these conversations. Yes, no sitting room in here at all. The center of this amphitheater coliseum type area does have a pavilion in the middle of it, a raised, almost like a plateau basically, an artificial plateau, which is made of natural elements, but clearly was sculpted by druid hands. A stone and like dirt rampway to try and raise you up and isolate you, to present yourself before this amphitheater. It is there that you do end up seeing the High Druid standing in the middle of it all. She has a very pensive look on her face, her eyes flitting to basically around her. She is not currently talking with anyone. Though conversation admittedly does die down, and in some cases stops, as your group makes its way into the conclave.
Aranas will try to catch her eyes, basically.
You've got the eyes of thousands of individuals. The High Druids would be among them.
All right. What's her expression when she sees us walk up there all wet and with this thing?
Her face remains pensive. Her nose scrunches up a bit.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't want to walk in the middle of someone else's speech or whatnot, but if they're just kind of having a big all-around talk, then
it doesn't sound like there's a speech.
I guess some sort of porcupine or something.
Sounds like conversation has muted considerably.
Oh, okay.
It's an eerie silence as your wet boots stomp on the dirt in the middle of this conclave.
Well, guys have no problem with me presenting this, right?
No.
Shadows appear from above as flying creatures, crows, eagles, dragons, perch up on top of the amphitheater to look down.
Sure. I suppose Aranas will walk towards the High Druid. Yeah. Following the others. When he makes it close enough, basically, he will do a bow and then retrieve the orb.
The light from the orb has completely died down, and there is a mixture of gasps and hisses in the arena.
Yeah. Some people don't like this being given here. Well, he will sort of hold it out to her,
The
offering it.
the High Druid will take a step forward. She will extend her hand. It is a cautious extension to reach out and touch the orb. Doesn't react. Doesn't like jump out and fucking kill everyone.
Explodes, killing all the 10,000 druids. Well,
Goes a suicide bomb. Like Ruza says, "Fuck this." Well, good work, everyone.
change things. The Wildwood is gone.
Resolve the Druid War issue. And after confident that nothing happens, she'll extend her other hand too. This is a big item. And she will lift the orb away from Aranas with both of her hands.
Yes, we'll look at her. And look around at the crowd, basically letting everyone see his face. Half turn either way, looking at all of them. Trying to see they're pensive. He is stern. He is unfaltering in his action.
There's quite a bit of curiosity. There's quite a bit of confusion. There's also anger, perhaps directed at the orb itself because of what it represents. Perhaps directed at you all, or individuals among you because of what you represent. Particularly, Jasmine is the one who receives the most angry looks and quite a number of murmurings. Imperial Cow.
Well, Aranas will look to the High Druid. Basically, he will look to the High Druid and see if she would basically he's like, no, don't speak, or if it's fine if he does, because he kind of has the ear of everyone right now, and
The High Druid gives you an ambivalent look. She is, and then looks towards the Orb of Storms, and takes a few steps back. She's not motioning for you to leave, and she's also not motioning for you to speak.
Yeah, she's letting me do whatever I want, as they do. All right, well, he will choose to speak then. Again, looking around at people, making sure not to look at anyone in particular, but sort of keeping his eyes moving over the crowd, speaking to all of them at the same time. Yeah, he'll say, "Honored members of the Druid Conclave, I apologize for the interruption." She looks to the High Druid. "Me and my companions are outsiders here. We understand that much, and we do not want to take too much of your time. We have, however, brought this, the Orb of Storms, fully activated, here, so that the wisest among you can use it to end some of the servitude that has been forced upon nature itself." So it looks and says, "May this perhaps aid in showing that not all those who have not been invited here do not see the value in nature being free and unshackled." She will look to the High Druid, see if she has any opinion.
She narrows her eyes at Aranas and then goes into a non-committal shrug, like, no, that works. Druidic reaction is mixed. You have a number of people who are listening with rapt attention, have a number who are nodding their assent, and you have one dwarf who says, several flights of stairs up, "Imperial one with you! Why doesn't she speak? Speak!" And then that crowd is chants taken up around the amphitheater. There's
Sure.
some centaurs and elves.
That makes sense. Aurelia, Aranas has he's mostly based around the Elf Queen, not really, kind of mostly an ally really of the High Druid. Jasmine wanted a chance to make sure that war doesn't happen. Aranas will step back and let her step forward to speak.
Well, this will be fun.
Better not fuck this up.
No pressure, but...
Yeah, no pressure, right? Jasmine will look around and just as the chanting starts, taking a minor breath though, even with all these thousands of eyes on her, she's holding a surprisingly good dignity and grace in here. Just not really phased too much by it, unlike me as a player. As she will speak in response to them. So you wish for me to speak? Well, here I shall. While the Empire and the Druids have had, let's not even mix words, numerous conflicts and numerous ideologies, of which the Empire is to blame for quite a few. I come here along with this group to deliver this as a sign that we do not simply wish to keep nature completely shackled, that we see at least some of us can see the value in all that is currently going on. How the Druids, how your power has grown, and all things, it is respectable and remarkable, and something which the Empire should not just simply look away from, try and suppress.
The same dwarf who like initially started the chant says, "You hear that? Empire's afraid. This is a tribute." A number of creatures start laughing around the auditorium.
Aranas frowns.
He's a player trying to think of something to respond to that.
Well, you don't have to respond, right? He's just a person in the audience. There are 10,000 people here.
It's true.
Just speak your mind. You'll mentally whisper.
You speak with your eyes and like the personal sign language you two have
developed. Remember your training.
me as a person, me as a player is not very used to giving speeches.
It's an impromptu speech, yeah.
Mm-hmm. For all of our days, with all that has happened, nature has been shackled, and nature has been exploited. Yet, while I do think some of the actions we have taken in the past may have been needed, cooperation is far more valuable in stopping the greater threats. For all of you, recognize that much has been changing throughout the lands. The unnatural cold, the dead gaining strength. All of you likely have heard of the news that has occurred throughout with the various factions. Things are changing, and now is not a time to stir more trouble, more than is to prepare for what will come after not just the Empire or the Druids, what will come after to all of nature and all of civilization if we do not stop it.
From up on top of the amphitheater, one of the dragons, bronze in color, a large-sized beast, rumbles, a voice powerful enough to carry across the well-designed building. What makes you think, Imperial Servant, that the forces of nature and those who ally with it are not prepared for what is coming? It is for the best that civilization burns civilization, whether it's the Wizard King or the Dragon Emperor. We've never asked for aid, not in this age. Previous attempts have resulted in catastrophe. We who would serve an ally with elementals, free spirits, have been hounded and destroyed by the Emperor and the Archmage. My kind in the past have been bound with collars, all in the name of some human's desire for control. Quite frankly, I don't see why there's any point in this. How could we not survive? How could we need your help? There is a significant amount of murmuring with agreement sweeping across the gathered masses. Small bit of jeering comes into effect as individuals of the group begin to use insults. Imperial cow. Or Imperial slave dog.
Jasmine has at least one more bit to add to this then. What's that? As I said, the power of the druids has grown and is remarkable. And I cannot say what you can and cannot take on. I am an outsider, as you're all clearly aware. But reaching back within time, one force has always stood as one incredibly difficult to hold back. For the One-Eyed King, it took many of the icons, some of the strongest we have known, to push them back. Yet, it took their combined force. Is it true? Is it true that the druid could take them on alone? There is no way to know. But to risk it and risk fighting without help is not. What do you gain by risking that instead of having allies and ensuring that you all and everyone cannot pull through? Differences can be settled when both sides are not threatened by something which took all of the Empire working together, not just the Emperor to fix.
The crowd's jeers become more muted, though Jasmine's words do not appear to have compelled some of them. Instead, almost as if they've now decided to ignore the group, they go back to just talking about what's just been said in the events that have transpired, rather than leveling any challenges at anyone to keep speaking. The High Druid lifts one hand from the Overstorms to pinch her nose.
And Jasmine will just look around and gracefully turn to look towards the group.
Sure, Aranas could level his voice in here. It is clear, though, that there are so many different peoples. Maybe that's what they need to consider. Arrogant to think that some have not considered it, but perhaps bringing it to the minds of all would be good. So he will speak up again, trusting that maybe the shape of this building can carry his voice somewhat. Can't really speak louder than a dragon.
It does seem to have been designed with that in mind.
He'll step forward again and say, "It seems, then, that the conversation will continue. Many of you know me. You know my way. You know who I am and what I have done. and you know what faith I follow. I will not preach to you, but I will say that unity among peers is something that seems to be a universal good. A pack of wolves works better than an individual. So I'll look out over them. Say,
There are a great number of elves who are beginning to nod along, and a great number of dwarves who are scowling angrily.
yeah, I'll say, look upon one another, not just those you have seated yourself behind, but look across this place. All of you see allies, and all of you see people you would rather regard as enemies in any other location or any other circumstance. How can you ever find a common cause if you keep discussing which group of you would lose from your agreement? Looks around. Says, the only affiliation I do not see here seems to indeed be that of the One-Eyed King, someone whom I believe none of you would wish to have succeed.
There's immediate shoutings. There's none of the Imperial dogs here, or the Archmage's slaves. And there's a lot more shouting and raging with that, too. Except for the one standing in the middle there.
Raises his head and says, indeed. For there is one standing in the middle here. There is one who is willing to work together. Where there is one, there is more. The Imperial Way has not been doing well recently. I imagine many of you on your way here has seen it. Cities overflowing with people who cannot be fed by their way. Their control of nature has faltered. They cannot keep it. Nature does not wish them to continue in this fashion, and so she has shaken them off. I believe this is the time to show them a different way. War, that is not the way to do this. That will only result in more and more destruction. And, as we know, we have plenty of that. The Iron Sea is what happens when we try to control, when nature was tried to control, when someone tried to control nature and it failed. It cannot be, and it cannot be that we should cause similar destruction. Instead, reach out to the people, offer them, for you to teach them this way, living in nature without mastery over it. Many will welcome it because they know that the Imperial Way in this matter have failed. The Empire would not stand against us. They would welcome the aid of having people who know how to live and act. Do so. So many. It says, there will be little harm in doing this, and you will see that eventually the Archmage's people will be asked to leave by the people of the cities themselves as they leave the cities and venture into the forest and the wild lands. If this way is indeed the right one, how should we be unable to show or explain that to the many?
There's a lot more hubbub at Aranas' words. No one bothers to shout out like another challenge or like open-air declaration in the entire Colosseum. Instead, dwarves turn to elves and like centaurs turn to nagas, and they all start continuing their discussion. Many of them gesturing down towards Aranas, either angrily or
You're not going to say. Much you can say of those with ties to the Emperor and to the Archmage, but it is a fact right now that those with those ties brought this orb here, perhaps against the will of the greater organization, perhaps not. What has come is that a cooperation. And it was indeed cooperation. Has shown itself to be highly profitable.
Indeed, we must unite. The voice emanates from the crowd, somewhere in the stands. Heads do turn, and individuals around him quickly back away. There's a scaled creature, short, corpulent. It is Aelor, the Draco Druid. Sitting very close to him is Ajax, whom even at this distance looks a little tense, as do quite a few druids who are within the vicinity. Aelor says, "Certainly, it is important that druids all over recognize the threat that is presented. I, for sure, have no interest in freezing in the abysmal cold summoned by the Lord of Dead. It is crucial, essential, that nature fight back using whatever means necessary to ensure its survival. Something that this conclave delays with its bickering." That statement seems to ring a bit more profoundly in the auditorium. There's quite a number of gasps, and perhaps through some hot-blooded members of the populace here, particularly among the orcs, like, I need to do something. The dwarves are nodding. Contingents from the Elf Queen, not so much.
Aranas will look and say, look to Aelor and say, "Indeed. But action should happen once unity has been acquired, or it will only end in," seems to think, sort of failure. "We must stand together against these threats. First," looks to the High Druid, sort of glint in his eye and say, "the Orb of Storms shall be used to free the Iron Sea. Then
there is quite a bit of howling and disagreement that ripples through the auditorium.
Nature shall not be shackled, not by a failed ritual, not so long ago. There have been creatures from there."
"You are a fool, young elf." The corpulent Draco Druid begins to waddle down the stairs.
Alright.
"How could survival be achieved through any other means than disrupting the unnatural cold created by the Lord of Dead? The Iron Sea can be resolved once the immediate threat to this land has ended. What do I care about Sahagwin and sea beasts when my trees are frozen? The land is covered by frost so thick that no one can move."
We'll look and say, "Nature herself will fight alongside us in these battles."
"How dare you
The cold?
lecture this gathering about what nature will and won't do? Perhaps you should head back up to the Queen's Wood and go stand around a crystal lake for a while before dipping into some drugs or narcotics, whatever it is the elves do up there."
Frowned slightly. Says, "The cold is recent, yes. But we can defeat both of these enemies now. We can defeat or free the Iron Sea by the use of this orb, A wound that nature has suffered for ages and ages. Then we can stand alongside those who would aid us in battling this threat of the One-Eyed King, as was once done. Both threats to nature can be defeated. There would be no reason to pick, no reason to bicker over over which one is more dangerous.
You are right on one thing. There is no need to bicker. The method of action is rather clear. The affairs with the Iron Sea were created by that wretched Wizard King, and can be resolved in their own time, once the world stops freezing.
If they were so easily resolved, they would have been resolved at this point.
I don't think the Sahagwin monsters are going to much care for taking over this realm when it's all coated in undead and ice, boy. By this point, he's actually waddled all the way down the flights of stairs and is actually at ground level. He's not on the raised plateau where you're standing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you could come up here fairly easily, I imagine.
He could.
Yeah, if you wanted to.
There are druids who've, stood up behind him, in his wake, and have, slowly followed him down the stairs, too.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Aranas, well, look at him. And,